Hello, my name is Geeth. I'm a mechanical engineer. Also, I'm a teacher in physics and maths. I made this video to give you a clear idea about the free falling. You know, in Italy, there's a city known as Pisa. The people in this city wanted to have a bell tower in the middle of the city. They started the construction of this tower in the year 1173. During the first 5 years of the construction, they built 3 floors out of the 8. But unfortunately, the tower starts to tilt towards the south. In Greek, Pisa means marshy land. A marshy land contains mud, soil, and water. When making a building on such a place, some precautions have to be taken to avoid sinking. The engineers didn't consider this fact and started the construction with a 3-meter deep foundation. The construction was not continuous because of this tilting. It took 200 years to complete it. Even now you go to Pisa, you can see this leaning tower. It is open for the visitors. The height of the tower is about 56 meters. And now the tilting has been stopped. And the angle of tilting is about 4.5 degrees from the vertical. In 1970, a group of engineers could find the center of gravity of the tower. They realized the tower is at the limiting point of toppling. If there's one more floor, it topples definitely. If number of floors is 1 less than the existing amount, the tower is more stable. Now I am going to explain you why this Pisa tower is very important to our physics lesson. You know, there was a very famous mathematician, Galileo Galilei. One day he went to the top of this Pisa tower. This happened in between 1589 and 1592. While he was going, he had been carrying 2 metal spheres. They are cannonballs actually. Those spheres were having different size and different weights, and one is heavier than the other. Galileo wanted to release these 2 spheres and check which one reached the ground first. According to his observation, both the spheres were reaching to the ground at the same time. It means they have gained a constant acceleration. This acceleration is independent of the size of the objects. This acceleration is independent of the weight of the objects. You can see in this diagram, there's a tube, glass tube. Inside the glass tube, there's a coin and a feather. Now I am going to show you what will happen to this feather and the coin if I make this glass tube upside down, like this. The coin falls fast, but the feather falls slowly. This observation is completely different from Galileo's observation. Let's try to understand this step by step. Now, this is the feather and this is the coin. I'm going to mark the forces acting on this feather and coin separately. The coin is subjected to its weight, and also the coin is subjected to the air resistance. If we compare this weight and the air resistance, the weight is greater than the air resistance. Let's see about this coin. Coin also subjected to the both forces, air resistance and the weight, air resistance. If we compare them, the weight is much more greater than the air resistance. Here we don't see such relation, but in this case the weight is very high. It means we can neglect the effect of the air resistance comparing with the weight. Here you can see there's a vacuum pump. When I operate this vacuum pump, the air inside the tube is removed. Now there's a vacuum formed inside the tube. We all know vacuum means no air. So there's not any possibility of making air resistance of the object. Now I am going to take this tube again and make upside down. We'll see what will happen to the feather and the coin. Now they fall together. They got the same acceleration. Now we'll try to understand how this happened. Again, I am going to mark the forces acting on these two objects. The feather, weight is acting, but no air resistance acting on it because there's no air. And the coin, the weight is acting, but no air resistance acting on it because there's no air. This might be the reason to fold them together. When weight is the only force acting on the falling objects, they gain constant acceleration. That is the final decision that we can make. They fall together because they got same acceleration. So when weight is the only force acting on them, they got the same acceleration. Now we have a problem regarding the metal spheres dropped by Galileo Galilei. They were reaching to the ground at the same time. Didn't they have the air resistance? We'll try to understand what has happened there. These are the two spheres which were dropped by Galileo Galilei, and this is the coin and feather what we used in the previous example. Now I am marking the forces on the large iron ball. Weight and the air resistance is there. Then I am marking the forces acting on the small iron ball. The weight and the air resistance is there. When you take the coin, it also has weight and air resistance, and same way with the feather, also having weight and air resistance. But for these three objects, the two spheres and the coin, we can neglect the effect of the air resistance because it is very small comparing with their weights. So we can decide weight is the only force acting here, weight is the only force acting here, weight is the only force acting here. Therefore, they fall with the gravitational acceleration, since weight is the only force acting on the object. But it is not happening with the feather. The feather, the air resistance effect cannot be neglected because it is smaller than weight, but it has a significant value. But here we could neglect the effect of the air resistance. That's why we could consider only weight is acting. So sometimes in the questions you might be given the objects are under free fall. It means we have to think that we are going to take gravitational acceleration for this falling. Or sometimes it can be given the objects are falling under gravity. Then also we have to consider gravitational acceleration is the acceleration acting on these objects. So I think that now you got a clear idea about this free falling, and thank you very much for watching this video.